gentlemen, he was, of course, also the president of the 6th CPA Asia Regional Conference and the first joint CPA Asia and Southeast Asia Regional Conference in 2025.
Great human minds and very hard-working population. Unfortunately, our trade volume is just meager $250 million during the last year, and this does not reflect not only the strength of our friendship but also the potential of the two countries. As I said earlier on, Your Excellency, let us make a commitment that we will take up our trade volume to $1 billion in the next 1 year. And today we have this joint business forum where we would both encourage Pakistani and Kazakhstan business community to come forward and invest in joint ventures. Our investment portfolio is almost negligible, and there is great potential again on both sides. And I think with our joint efforts, we will be able to make significant progress in this behalf. Excellency, we have agreed to the Belarus, Russia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan transport corridor to enhance our regional connectivity. And we have also offered to your great country full access to Pakistan's transit infrastructure and seaports facilities. Your Excellency, as I've already said, that in energy you have great opportunities both in Kazakhstan and Pakistan, and our collaboration will be a win-win situation. Your Excellency, in the field of culture, in the field of information, again, there is so much to talk about, write and discuss. And again, in this field, I think both the countries will have great opportunities in times to come. Pakistan, Your Excellency, regards Kazakhstan as our strategic and one of the most valued partner in Central Asia. And I'm absolutely confident that with our today's collaboration discussion, with the productive, encouraging outcomes, and this signing ceremony will not only reinvigorate our relations, but give a huge impetus to our bilateral ties. In your speech, in our bilateral meeting today, you gave a wonderful roadmap for our future cooperation. And this could only come from a visionary leader like you, who, as said earlier on, has great experience, great expertise and knowledge through your various positions you have served in the last many decades. Your Excellency, in your national anthem, your country has mentioned the son of freedom and the struggle of the people for the right to freedom and sovereignty. We deeply respect these ideals, as we also share the same commitment to freedom, dignity, self-respect for our nations. Today, as our two nations strengthen our partnership, we look forward to exploring new horizons of cooperation in trade, culture, education, and many other areas. I once again would like to thank you from the core of my heart, Your Excellency, and your distinguished delegation for honoring us with this historic visit and for your commitment and support to further strengthening Pakistan-Kazakhstan relations. Long live Pakistan-Kazakhstan friendship. Thank you very much.
May I now request the Honorable President of the Republic of Kazakhstan, His Excellency Kasim Jomaret.
Your Excellency, Mr. Prime Minister, first of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to you, Mr. Shehbaz Sharif, Prime Minister of Pakistan, for your kind invitation to pay a state visit to Pakistan. I also wish to convey my heartfelt appreciation to the friendly people of Pakistan for their warm hospitality extended to the Kazakh delegation. It's my great pleasure to visit Pakistan, our brotherly nation with a rich history, vibrant culture, and a well-established standing on the international stage. Today, Pakistan is a reliable and important partner of Kazakhstan in South Asia and beyond. Our peoples are united by centuries-old ties rooted in the legacy of the Great Silk Road, as well as by deep cultural and spiritual affinity. Our nations share common values, traditions, and joint aspirations for the future. Our constructive political dialogue and enduring economic relations are underpinned by regular engagement of governments and business communities. Today, together with the esteemed Prime Minister, we signed a historic document, the Joint Declaration on Establishing Strategic Partnership between Kazakhstan and Pakistan. By elevating our relations to a new level, we open up immense opportunities to engage across full spectrum of bilateral and multilateral agenda. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif for his significant, decisive contribution to deepening friendly relations and mutually beneficial cooperation between our countries. Mr. Sharif is widely recognized as a wise and visionary leader who is resolutely steering his country forward. Thanks to his balanced and forward-looking policies, Islamabad's regional and global standing continues to grow. Last year, Pakistan was elected as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. Its constructive and responsible steps contribute meaningfully to strengthening peace and stability in the region. Today, Pakistan possesses strong economic potential, well-developed industrial capacity, and extensive transit and transport capabilities. Its agricultural, light industry, and medical products are widely represented in international markets. The dynamic development of Pakistan's defense industry is also well recognized globally. We sincerely welcome and take pride in every achievement of the brotherly Pakistani people across various sectors. We just held a very substantive and productive talks with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. This afternoon, I will also have the privilege of meeting with the President of Pakistan, His Excellency Mr. Asif Ali Zardari. Important intergovernmental documents were adopted, focusing on result-oriented engagement across full bilateral spectrum. We thoroughly discussed trade, transport and logistics, industry, energy, information, technologies, as well as cultural and humanitarian cooperation. Trade and economic interaction are gaining new momentum. Last year, bilateral trade doubled compared to the previous year. The roadmap for trade and economic cooperation is being effectively implemented. We agreed to take concrete measures to further increase trade volume with ambitious yet achievable target of reaching $1 billion in the near future. Emphasized the importance of creating favorable conditions to intensify cooperation between our business communities. Particular priority will be given to transport and logistics projects aimed at expanding trade flows. Prime Minister shared his vision of Pakistan's increasing role in transit and logistics, which might offer us alternative access to international markets. In this context, we discussed the capabilities of Pakistan's ports of Karachi and Gwadar. As one of the priority issues, we addressed the development of the Trans-Caspian transport corridor and transit routes passing through Afghanistan. In addition, we agreed to explore the possibility of resuming direct air connections between our countries, a move critical for driving both business and tourism. In the energy sector, we focused on opportunities for implementing joint projects as well as exchanged views on the prospects of Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Tapi gas pipeline. We also signed vital agreements in the agricultural sector, paving the way to expanded trade and establishing joint production facilities. Both countries possess substantial industrial capabilities. I invited Pakistani companies to establish production facilities in Kazakhstan aimed at manufacturing goods. Currently, there is a strong interest in agricultural processing, pharmaceuticals, and construction materials. We also agreed to expand mutually beneficial cooperation in the defense industry. Cooperation between our security and law enforcement agencies has been developing dynamically in recent years. During the negotiations, we emphasized the strategic importance of artificial intelligence and digital technologies, especially for economic growth. We confirmed our readiness to work jointly in this field. Pakistan is one of the world's leaders in Islamic finance. The Astana International Financial Center has created all necessary conditions for the development of halal finance in the Eurasian space. Pakistani financial institutions can effectively utilize these opportunities. We also focused on strengthening investment cooperation. In this regard, the joint investment platform established today by Samruk Khazana and the Fauji Foundation will explore concrete investment projects. Overall, we are ready to provide favorable conditions for Pakistani investors in Kazakhstan. Today, we will also participate in the Kazakhstan-Pakistan Business Forum. More than 250 companies from both countries will come together and sign a number of commercial agreements. I am confident that this important event will unlock untapped potential and trade, economic, and investment relations. We also discussed the development of cultural and humanitarian cooperation. The popularity of Kazakhstan's higher education institutions among Pakistani youth continues to grow. Currently, more than 1,000 of Pakistani students are studying in Kazakhstan in various fields. We agreed to further foster cooperation in science and education. The Al-Farabi, Satpaiv, and Yasawi centers opened today at universities in Islamabad will contribute to deepening academic and educational ties between our countries. Strengthening cooperation in healthcare and sports is also important, and today we inaugurated the Kazakhstan-Pakistan Dostik Sports Complex. This center will offer training in traditional Kazakh sports such as Kazakh kuresi and Toğız Kumalak, as well as chess, boxing, and mixed martial arts. We also adopted programs for holding cultural and sport events on a regular basis, which I believe will advance people-to-people's ties. Taking this opportunity, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif for his support of bilateral, cultural, and humanitarian activities and a genuine dedication to fostering people-to-people ties. Today, we also exchanged views on international and regional issues with a focus on joint efforts to advance peace and security. We expressed concern over ongoing conflicts around the world. Our positions on many pressing issues are similar. We believe that any conflict must be resolved through dialogue and diplomatic means. The principles of the United Nations Charter and the international law should always prevail and must be upheld. In this current geopolitical environment, mutual support and consultations within multilateral organizations are particularly important. Pakistan has consistently supported Kazakhstan's initiatives within the Conference on Interaction and Confidence-Building Measures in Asia, for which we are sincerely grateful. We also discussed concrete steps towards promoting global peace and stability. In this regard, today we signed an intergovernmental memorandum on joint participation in United Nations peacekeeping missions. This document lays a solid basis for expanding our partnership in international peacekeeping efforts. Distinguished participants, dear friends, brothers, today's visit marks a new beginning in the history of Kazakh-Pakistani relations. I am confident that the established strategic partnership and all the agreements we reached today will serve the best interests of our nations. May the bonds of friendship between our brotherly peoples remain strong, enduring, and forward-looking. And I look forward to seeing and to hosting a state visit of my brother, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mr. Shehbaz Sharif, later this year. Thank you.
This concludes the official exchange of documents ceremony. All guests are requested to proceed for the official lunch hosted by the Prime Minister of Pakistan in the honor of the Honorable President of the Republic of Kazakhstan. Thank you very much.
Committee, Excellency Dr. Christopher Kalila, Honorable Speakers of the Provincial and State Assemblies of Pakistan and Malaysia, Excellencies from Diplomatic Corps, Minister for Information and Mass Transit, Province of Sindh, who is also the Senior Minister of the Cabinet, Excellency Mr. Sharjeel Inam Memon, Excellency Mr. Stephen Twiggs, Secretary General of the CPA, distinguished delegates from CPA fraternity, parliamentarians, legislators, excellencies, guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to all of you. It is my profound pleasure to welcome you all at the inaugural East Asia Regional Conference 2026 in this vibrant city of Karachi. Ladies and gentlemen, as the Speaker of Provincial Assembly of Sindh, I take a distinct pride to note that in the history of CPA, it is for the second time that Provincial Assembly of Sindh has been bestowed the honor of hosting this vital parliamentary meet of our region. Our last gathering in Karachi was in 2012 with open arms since time immemorial. The waters of mighty Indus have not only brought fertility to our people, but also connectivity with others, and hence the ruins of Mohenjo-daro and Makli narrates the story of majestic civilization, of culture, commerce, and peaceful coexistence. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the land of Sufis and saints, and a land of mystics and men of wisdom. It is the land of Shaheed Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. It is the land of world's youngest and Muslim world's first woman Prime Minister, Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto. Hence, with great sense of history, I welcome all our delegates who have travelled from near and far, wish them a comfortable stay and safe return with cherished memories. Ladies and gentlemen, we assemble at the time when the world around us passes through yet another phase of turmoil. A world confronted with critical challenges of conflict, socio-economic exploitation, cultural onslaught, hunger and disease. A world brimming with climate chaos, rising temperatures, devastating floods and droughts. And a world where fast-changing technologies pose new set of challenges to human security in the face of artificial intelligence and social media onslaught. Since our last conference in Lahore, February 2025, our own region and its surroundings witnessed disturbing developments. In May last year, my country, Pakistan, was subjected a naked and blatant aggression. This cowardly act was not only braved with courage by a united Pakistani nation, but the enemy was also made to retreat with a bleeding nose by our gallant armed forces with a precise, proportionate and restrained response, rightly named Binyanul Marsus. The continued destability in Afghanistan and the corresponding perpetuation of terrorist elements there, and the deplorable situation in Gaza, overall crisis in Middle East, especially Iran, and wars in Ukraine, Venezuela and Africa have posed innumerable threats to the peace and sustainable development of populism and demagoguy have been feigning, narrow self-interest and unilateralism. The space for multilateralism is fast shrinking. Democratic principles of pragmatism, accommodation and respect to reason are fast fading. Let us not forget that the world must not become the chessboard of the privileged few. It must adhere to needs and agony of the countless facing destitution, depression and destruction. Ladies and gentlemen, my great leader Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto once said, and I quote, A more stable world depends on the ability to use force as the last resort when unavoidable, but seek political solutions at the first available possible. She taught us that democracies do not fight each other, they fight the problem together. It is unfortunate that the claimants of world's largest democracy are less inclined to address the burning issues of poverty, hunger and disease, resolving long-standing unresolved issue of Kashmir, but more interested in pointing fingers and harboring hatred. This stalemate is harming the progress and prosperity of entire South Asia. South Asia, which is home of over 2 billion people, almost 1/4 of the total humanity. Of these, 350 million live in abject poverty, 30% of the total poor of the globe, while almost half of the world's illiterate come from our lands. These are the very wars we have to fight collectively, since it's my firm belief that as people's chosen representatives, we cannot remain oblivious to the distressing plight of our people. We must collectively show greater emotional endurance, a less rigid ego, and a deeper aversion of war. We must realize the cost of conflicts, not in numbers, but in blood, tears, and in empty cradles. And in doing so, our best attributes should be our ability to dialogue, our determination to continue discussion despite discord, and our duty to develop consensus. Let us not forget that our respective parliaments can only remain relevant for the future generation if we redefine democracy today through trust, inclusion, innovation, and peace. This calls for creating greater understanding and sharing common best practices. The Commonwealth Parliamentary Association provides the 180 parliaments and legislatures of 56 independent nations across CPA's 9 regions world over, a unique opportunity to fulfill our prime responsibility: keep the dialogue alive for common peace and shared development. This is even more vital for the CPA Asia region, as our forum is the only available regional parliamentary platform for meaningful collaboration since the abeyance of SAARC. In this regard, I note with great satisfaction that after years of lapse and delay, discipline in holding annual conferences of CPA Asia region is finally achievable, as our present conference is being held within a year of our last meeting in Lahore. The praiseworthy step initiated in the last conference to enlarge this forum and include the legislatures of Southeast Asia has been duly followed in our conference. Such joint interaction of CPA regions are vital for creating broader understanding and cooperation. I hope that with the able support of the Secretary General of CPA, we will be able to include more regional representations in our future meetings. Ladies and gentlemen, in the coming 3 days, we will all be discussing pressing issues of making parliaments stronger for effective accountability of the executives, the challenges to our environment and climatical disorders, the rise of artificial intelligence and corresponding fake news, inculcating democratic values in everyday lives through parliamentary education, and ensuring safer society for our women by protecting them from online violence. These are the key challenges to our respective societies, our democratic institutions, and social fabric. We must learn from each other to reach common and consensus solution. Ladies and gentlemen, noted Italian philosopher Dante once said, and I quote, "Hottest place in the hell is reserved for those who opt to stay quiet in an hour of crisis." It is our moral and parliamentary duty to speak with clear conscience and act in coherence as our societies passes through global crises one after the other. We must act together in confidence and in mutual trust. I am reminded of the noted Sindhi poet Hazrat Shah Abdul Latif Bhitai, whose wisdoms taught us Sai Sadai Kare Mathe Sindh Sukar Dost Maldar Alam Sab Abad Kari. Translation is, my Lord, keep Sindh surplus and prosperous at all time. My dear friend, pray extended your benevolence to the entire world. In conclusion, while I once again thank you, and I would like to do it in my national language, Khushamded, and in my mother tongue, Bhali Kare Aaya, I thank you once again. Thank you everyone. Pakistan Zindabad.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker of the Provincial Assembly of Sindh and also the President of the Conference, for your welcome remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, the values upheld and the laws made in parliaments of this nature have impact close to home, in places so small that they cannot be shown on any map of the world. Yet they are the world of a common man, the home he lives in, the neighborhood he grows in, the school or office he attends, and that is where real impact begins. The Provincial Assembly of Sindh holds the singular distinction of being the birthplace of the independent dominion of Pakistan. It was within the historic chambers of the Sindh Assembly that the transfer of power from the British Crown to the people of this land was formally realized, an enduring milestone in our democratic journey. The Sindh Assembly carries a rich and principled legacy of service to democracy, constitutionalism, and the rule of law. Ladies and gentlemen, we have captured that in a short documentary that we'd like to now present at the inauguration ceremony of the 7th CPA Asia Regional Conference and the 2nd Joint CPA Asia and Southeast Asia Regional Conference 2026.
Spanning 140,914 square kilometers and home to over 56 million people, committed to peaceful coexistence, cultural harmony, and national dignity. Sindh became part of the newly created state of Pakistan on 14th of August 1947, when the Muslims of subcontinent, under the leadership of Qaeda Azam secured an independent homeland as an important foreign nation within the British Commonwealth. Under Pakistan's constitution, federation comprises 4 provinces and territories with wide-ranging parliament and representatives, provincial legislatures. Among them, the Provincial Assembly of Sindh holds unique distinction. It is the birthplace of Pakistan, where it gives in these legislatures the formal transfer of power took place on 14th of August 1957. This historic moment reflected a long struggle, including the demand to recognize Sindh as a fully empowered province. That struggle began in 1843, when the British forces under General Sir Charles Napier defeated Taliban rulers at the Battle of Hyderabad, leading to Sindh annexation. In 1847, Sindh was absorbed into the Bombay Presidency, diluting its political voice and identity. Even after the constitutional reforms, the War of Independence of 1857, Sindh remained marginalized under the colonial rule, strengthening its resolve for self-governance. From the late 19th century onward, enlightened voices, Hindus, Muslims, and other communities demanded a separate identity for Sindh's language, culture and politics. The All Muslim League supported separation in 1925. In 1929, the demand his point. Conference so Shahbaz Bhutto province and their efforts for one government of India Act 1935. First Act 1936 after nearly 90 years. The provincial February 7. Under the government of India Act 1935, 60 members represented Muslims, general constituencies, landholders, farmers, labor and women, reflecting Sindh's diversity. Time, April, in the hall of Sindh Chief Court, the 57 members took oath. Was elected the first speaker, with Khan Bahadur Allah Bakhsh Kabul as a deputy speaker. Between 1937 and 1945, the Assembly held 22 sessions over 259 sittings, passing more than 150 bills, establishing Sindh's first modern forum for governance, education, irrigation, local government and public order. Initially meeting in the Sindh Chief Court, NJV School and other halls, the Assembly sought a permanent home. In 1938, Speaker Singh championed a purpose-built building. On 11 March 1940, Governor Sir Lansford Graham laid the foundation stone. Within 2 years, the sandstone structure was completed and inaugurated on 4th of March 1942 by Governor Sir Hugh Dow. Designed in shape of the letter E with the central dome, wide verandas and a horseshoe-shaped chamber, it symbolized democratic debate, originally accommodating 82 members, 213 visitors and 44 press representatives. The complex later expanded, yet the old chambers remain its symbolic heart. As the Second World War unfolded, the Assembly moved towards history-shaping choices. Following the Lahore Resolution of March 1940, a resolution moved by G.M. Syed was debated on 3rd March 1943, declaring Muslims a separate nation and supporting independent Muslim states.
From the historic resolution of 1943 to the evolving challenges of modern governance, this House has served as a platform for dialogue, legislation and public accountability.
The motion passed by 24 votes to 3. Among those voting aye were Sheikh Abdul Majid, Allah Bakhsh Kabul, Sir Ghulam Hussain Hidayatullah, Haji Muhammad Hashim Bazdar, M.A. Koro, Peer Ilahi Bakhsh and Mrs. Jenubai Alana. Sindh became the first provincial legislature in British India to formally endorse the demand for Pakistan. On 26 June 1947, following 3 June partition plan, the Assembly voted 33 to 20 to join the Constituent Assembly of Pakistan. Sindh had chosen Pakistan twice, once for the dream and once for its reality. From 1947 to 1956, this building served as Pakistan's first national parliament. The Constituent Assembly met here on 10th of August 1947 with Jogendra Nath Mandal as a temporary chairman. On 11 August, Quaid-e-Azam was elected president. On 14 August, Lord Mountbatten formally transferred power here.
आप लोग इस मुल्क पाकिस्तान में अपने अपने इबादत गाहों, मस्जिदों या मंदिरों में जाने के लिए। आपका मजहब क्या है, जात क्या है, कौम क्या है, इसका हुकूमत के मामलात से कोई ताल्लुक नहीं।
In March 1949, the Assembly adopted the Objective Resolution, and in 1956, Pakistan's first constitution was elected in this chamber. For nearly a decade, this hall stood at the heart of national decision-making. In 1953, Sindh elected its fourth Provincial Assembly with 112 members. On 11th of December 1954, meeting in Hyderabad, it approved one unit scheme, merging western provinces into West Pakistan. Legislative authority shifted to West Pakistan Assembly in Lahore. When the capital moved to Islamabad in 1959, this building lost its national role, and Sindh's parliamentary voice fell silent, until 1970 when one unit was abolished. On 2nd May 1972, the first Provincial Assembly of Sindh reconvened here, holding over 100 sittings and passing 114 bills, restoring provincial parliamentary life.
For more than 7 decades, the Sindh Assembly has been a living institution of democratic continuity and constitutional responsibility.
From the 1970s onward, the Assembly expanded in scale and complexity. In the early 2000s, under constitutional arrangements, following the legal framework order, its strength increased to 168 members, 130 general, 29 women and 9 non-Muslims. Now anchored in Article 106 of the Constitution.
Our journey reflects resilience, democratic maturity, and enduring commitment to serving the people of Sindh.
Sindh has often led provincial reforms, including the Child Marriage Restraint Act 2013, the Domestic Violence Act of 2013, the Right to Information Act 2016, the Sindh Commission on the Status of Women Act 2015, and the Sindh Women Agriculture Workers Act 2019. This is the story of a province that evolved from colonial marginalization to constitutional leadership, of a house that voted twice for Pakistan, of a building that became birthplace of nationalist parliament, fell silent under the one unit and found its voice again.
Deeply rooted in our history and aligned with the shared Commonwealth parliamentary values, the Sindh Assembly upholds inclusivity, rule of law, and representative governance.
From a 60-member house and borrowed halls to 160 digitally evolving legislature using e-parliament tools, solar energy, and AI-assisted research, the Sindh Assembly carries forward a living democratic legacy. A legacy rooted in history, shaped by courage and guided by enduring promise of democracy.
It's a great honor for the city of Karachi to host the 7th CPA Asia and 2nd Joint CPA Asia and South Asia Regional Conference 2026 and to welcome distinguished parliamentarians to the historic home of the Sindh Assembly. Established in 1937, the Sindh Assembly is one of the oldest legislative institutions in the subcontinent and a house that has played a defining role in shaping constitutional thought in our region. It was in this assembly that early resolutions were adopted, giving direction to the democratic and constitutional struggle that led to the creation of Pakistan. For decades, the Sindh Assembly has stood a proud symbol of representative democracy, parliamentary continuity, and respect for constitutional governance. Today, as we gather for this important conference, we reaffirm our shared commitment to democratic values, to legislative excellence, and to cooperation among parliaments across Asia and South Asia.
Ladies and gentlemen, an insightful message from the Honorable Chief Minister of Sindh for all the delegates and the heads of delegates who are present here for this conference. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we must reiterate that Parliament is more than procedure. It is the custodian of a nation's freedom. Across the Commonwealth, legislatures are navigating an increasingly complex governance landscape. It is marked by evolving public expectations, growing political polarization, rapid technological change, climate-related pressures, and the continuing need to strengthen meaningful participation of women, youth, and marginalized communities in democratic decision-making. As parliaments navigate these interconnected pressures, there is an urgent imperative to reimagine their role, not only as lawmaking bodies, but as institutions that actively foster trust, inclusion, innovation, and peace. And that is where we see a strong role for organizations such as the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor to invite the Honorable Dr. Christopher Kalila, the chairperson of the CPA Executive Committee, to address this conference.
Thank you very much, Director of Ceremonies, for this opportunity for me to address this very important gathering this afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon to everyone. May I begin first by recognizing in our midst the presence of the Right Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly of Pakistan, Sada Ayaz Sadiq. Let me also recognize the Honorable Speaker of the Sindh Legislative Assembly, that is Syed Awaz Qadar Shah. I also want to recognize any cabinet ministers that are in our midst this morning, afternoon rather. May I also recognize the distinguished speakers and deputy speakers from the various parliaments and assemblies in both Southeast Asia and Asia who are here, many of whom I have met at various points and instances within our Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. Colleagues and friends, it is my absolute pleasure to address you here at the beginning, the opening ceremony of this second CPA Joint Asia and Southeast Asia Regional Conference. I extend my sincere thanks to His Excellency Said Murad Ali Shah and Honorable Speaker Said Awaz Shah for their warm hospitality here in Sindh. Colleagues and friends, I attended the first Joint Asia and Southeast Asia Regional Conference, which was held in Lahore. And that was my first assignment, basically when I took over as CPA chairperson. And it is therefore a joy for me to return to this beautiful country of Pakistan and see so many familiar faces here today. I actually feel at home to the extent that one of my colleagues said that you look so relaxed. Maybe you are not Christopher Kalila, but you are Christopher Khan. So, colleagues and friends, we gather at a time of profound change across Asia and Southeast Asia. Societies are experiencing rapid social transformation, technological advancement, and evolving expectations from citizens, especially young people. In this context,
is the theme of our conference, Parliaments of the Future, Redefining Democracy through Trust, Inclusion, Innovation and Peace, could not have been more timely or more urgent. I want to congratulate you for actually coming up with such a very, very important and appropriate theme for this conference. At the heart of democracy, as we have heard already from the Director of Ceremonies, lies trust. Trust between citizens and their institutions. Trust in the integrity of elections, the transparency of decision-making, and the accountability of those who are entrusted with power. Yet we must acknowledge, honestly and courageously, that public trust in democratic institutions is under strain in many parts of the world. Parliaments therefore carry a special responsibility not only to legislate, but to listen, not only to govern, but to save. Where trust has been fragmented and our institutions' reliability has understandably been questioned, rebuilding trust in our democracies therefore requires openness, it requires ethical leadership, and a renewed commitment to putting public interest above all else. These are core tenets of the CPA and our work. Equally essential is inclusion. Parliaments of the future must truly reflect the diversity of the societies they represent. Women, young people, persons with disabilities, ethnic and religious minorities, all must see themselves not only as voters, but as active participants in democratic life. Inclusion is not a symbolic gesture. It is a democratic necessity. That's why the CPA has long championed networks like the Commonwealth Women Parliamentarians, like the Commonwealth Parliamentarians with Disabilities, and the vital work they take forward in ensuring that equal inclusion and representation in democratic practices is the norm and not an afterthought. Innovation is another defining pillar of the future of parliaments. Technology has transformed how citizens communicate, how they organize and engage. Parliaments equally must not be left behind. They must keep pace, whilst also acknowledging and defending against the challenges that new technologies introduce. Digital tools offer unprecedented opportunities to enhance transparency, to improve legislative efficiency, and expand citizen engagement. But innovation is not only about technology. It is also about mindset. It is about rethinking the procedures that we take in our parliaments. It is about embracing evidence-based policy making and being willing to adapt traditions to meet contemporary realities, all at the same time while preserving the core values of parliamentary democracy. The CPA is here to assist our parliaments through these changes. Our work in technology and artificial intelligence continues to emphasize accessibility and resilience, ensuring that legislatures in all regions, regardless of their size or resources, can benefit from technological progress whilst protecting themselves from any potential pitfalls. Finally, we must speak of peace. Very important. Parliaments are not merely law-making bodies. They are arenas for dialogue. They are arenas for compromise and the peaceful resolution of differences. I'm actually made to believe Parliament means parler, to talk. In a world marked by conflict, polarization and misinformation, parliaments must act as guardians of democratic stability. Through respectful debate and inclusive governance, parliaments can help prevent future discord. They can promote social cohesion and foster a culture of peace within and across our Commonwealth of Nations. This week's conference, therefore, provides a unique and valuable space for frank exchange. It allows us to learn from one another's experience, to share best practice, and to reflect collectively on how we can best shape our democratic institutions to serve future generations. I encourage all participants in this week's program to engage openly and constructively and to take full advantage of the collective wisdom that I see present in this room. I therefore wish you a productive and successful conference, and once again I thank our hosts for bringing us together here in Karachi. I also thank you for the warm hospitality accorded to myself and our Secretary General Stephen Twigg to be able to be present and participate in this conference. May God bless Pakistan, may God bless this region, and may God bless the Commonwealth. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kalila, for once again reiterating the importance of representation and inclusion. Good governance today demands more than policy. It demands public trust, inclusion, and responsive leadership. In this spirit, it is a privilege to welcome once again all of you to this historic venue. I must also add that the Provincial Assembly of Sindh is one of the first legislatures of the world that actually was it has a singular distinction of playing and recognizing the equal role of women in progress. Sipahi Jeth Malani was elected as the first woman Deputy Speaker of the Sindh Legislative Assembly in the late 1930s. And I must also add that it goes to the credit of Sindh that it gave the world its youngest and the first woman Prime Minister of the Muslim world, Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto. A leader who is indeed cherished and remembered as the true champion of democracy, dialogue, and reconciliation. Ladies and gentlemen, we are guided by her principle and her legacy, and may I now take this opportunity to invite a senior leader with the government of Sindh, whose commitment to strengthening institutions and public service and the democratic purpose has seen no distinctions. Ladies and gentlemen, as a senior minister, he has played an important role in advancing key priorities of the government of Sindh, working to strengthen the public delivery, institutional coordination, and citizen-focused governance. Ladies and gentlemen, let us now invite him and hear his remarks on the interconnected pillars of trust, inclusion, innovation, and peace. Please join me in welcoming the Honorable Sharjeel Inam Memon, the Senior Minister with the Government of Sindh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Speaker, National Assembly, Sardar Ayaz Sadiq, Honorable Speaker of Provincial Assembly of Sindh, Mr. Avais Shah, respected Secretary General of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, esteemed Mr. Christopher Khalifa, Chairperson CPA, distinguished parliamentarians, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Sindh. It is an honor to address this conference, which brings together parliamentary leaders at a time of significant global change. I thank Commonwealth Parliamentary Association and Provincial Assembly of Sindh for convening this important forum. I commend the Honorable Speaker of Sindh Assembly for his leadership. Under his guidance, the Assembly has strengthened parliamentary practices and enhanced engagement with regional and international partners. Hosting this CPA conference reflects its commitment to democratic dialogue and good governance. Parliamentary democracy today faces serious challenges, including declining public trust, political polarization, digital disruption, and climate stress. In this context, the conference theme, Parliaments of the Future, Redefining Democracy Through Trust, Inclusion, Innovation, and Peace, is both timely and essential. Trust is the foundation of democracy. It is built through transparency, accountability, and consistent engagement with citizens. In Sindh, steps have been taken to strengthen legislative oversight, improve committee system, and increase openness in parliamentary business. These efforts reinforce the principle that strong parliaments sustain strong democracies. Inclusion is equally vital. Democracies weaken when people feel excluded from decision making. The Sindh Assembly has worked to promote meaningful participation and leadership of women. Addressing issues such as gender-based violence, workplace safety, and protection of women in public life, inclusion is not optional, it is a democratic responsibility. Climate change is one of the defining challenges of our time. Sindh remains highly vulnerable to floods, droughts, and environmental degradation, which affect the most vulnerable communities. Legislative focus increasingly recognize climate resilience as an issue of justice and human right. Innovation which will shape the future of democracy, digital tools of parliaments, new opportunities to improve transparency, efficiency, and public engagement. Sindh has begun modernization parliamentary process with carefully considering the governance of emerging technologies, including artificial intelligence, in the line of democratic values. Peace, all these efforts together, parliaments must remain space for dialogue, cooperation, and consensus, parliamentary diplomacy, and regional cooperation, particularly through platforms like the CPA and essential promoting peace. This conference represents a shared commitment to democratic renewal. The Karachi Charter, to be adopted at its conclusion, should guide us from discussion to action. I thank the Provincial Assembly of Sindh and the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association for bringing us together, and I wish the delegates a successful conference. Thank you. Pakistan Zindabad. Long live parliamentary democracy.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. As you reiterated that in an increasingly interconnected world, parliamentary diplomacy has become central to building trust, dialogue, and cooperation among nations. Strong parliaments today must not only legislate but also lead across borders and regions. We are honoured to be joined by a parliamentary leader who has played a pivotal role in laying the firm foundations of regional and international parliamentary cooperation. Under his leadership, 188 parliamentary friendship groups have been instituted with sister parliaments, significantly strengthening institutional engagement worldwide. The Honourable Sardar Ayaz Sadiq, the Speaker of the National Assembly of Pakistan, is not only the elected President of the second CPC, but also the founding President of the 5-member Speakers Conference for Peace and Connectivity, a platform dedicated to dialogue, stability, and regional understanding. It is under his and visionary leadership that CPA Asia has strengthened its institutional framework with the establishment of the regional headquarters of CPA Asia at the National Assembly of Pakistan, underscoring Pakistan's central role in advancing parliamentary cooperation in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my great honor to invite the Honorable Sardar Ayaz Sadiq, the Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly of Islamic Republic of Pakistan, to deliver his presidential remarks.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Honorable Sayyid Awais Qadir Shah Sahab, Speaker, Provincial Assembly of Sindh, host and an excellent host, and President of the 7th CPA Asia Conference, Honorable Deputy Mr. Ahmed Nizam, Deputy Speaker of the People's Majlis of Maldives, and the representative of the Chairperson of the CPA Asia Executive Committee, Honorable Rizvi Saleh, Deputy Speaker of Sri Lanka, Honorable Christopher Kalale, Chairperson of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association's Executive Committee, Honorable Speakers of the Provincial Assemblies of Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Punjab, Honorable Speakers of the Legislatures of Malaysia, Excellency Mr. Sharjeel Inam Memon, Minister for Information, Mas Francis, Province of Sindh, Excellency Secretary of the CPA, distinguished partners from over 30 countries, dignitaries, Assalamu alaikum. Before I give the standard speech of the National Assembly, the Chairman of the Speaker of the Assemblies, and including AJ, we have regularly. And the reason is to cooperation between our assemblies for interprovincial harmony and coordination, strengthening democracy, and will be happy to know, in fact, surprised to know that we had assembly and the provincial assembly have different rules. We have put together, we've taken guidance from the provincial assemblies, and we have come to a point where most of us are identified rules in all. So that shows it's a privilege and honor to meet my honorable colleagues from all provincial assemblies, political parties. Unity, what is all about. This is unity and the strength of this. It is indeed a privilege to address the Commonwealth Parliamentary, a shared commitment to democracy, dignity, and the rule of law. I particularly like to note that the Provincial Assembly of Sindh is hosting this event. This is only the second time in history this real iconic building is the old one, Pakistan in 1940. Sindh, land of culture and ideas, has been nurtured democratic. It is considered in 1946. It is Jyoti Bai Sadas as a speaker. This is taught gave the Muslim world elected women leader, the world's youngest prime minister, Benazir Sahaba. We all share and wish she was. Ladies and gentlemen, today we continue under the theme of future, redefining trust, inclusion, innovation, and peace. This theme reflects not only our national collective share to strengthen parliaments that are representative. Trust, inclusion, innovation are not mere ideals. They are foundational pillars of future. Without trust, presentation alters. Without inclusion, legitimacy erodes. Without innovation, governance stagnates. Progress is denied. The Commonwealth community, 60% of the population is 30. Only 2 to 3% of parliamentarians belong to this generation. This is a responsibility by integrating them through council structure in turn and dedicated representation in parliamentary committees. Inclusion remains the bedrock of sustainable representation of women, minorities, marginalized communities, and persons with disabilities is not a duty. Diverse parliament legislation deliver governance in justice and dignity. Ladies and gentlemen, innovation and technology are indispensable allies of modern governance. Enabled legislative research, digital documentation, and e-parliament transparency, efficiency, and public engagement. Open data governance, digital forms strengthen democratic accountability by to people. Accountability on democratic legitimacy. Effective subcommittees improve research capacity, accurate data, and independence ensure the government remains answerable to the people and uphold the highest standards of governance. Distinguished delegates, federalism, power sharing are crucial for unity and equitable development. Balance between federal and respects and promotes cooperative governance and inter-parliamentary coordination tools for national harmony. Parliament also play a crucial role in it at the regional and global level. They must champion humanitarian principles, advocate for peace. Pakistan reiterates its support for people of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, firmly rooted in UN Security Council resolution. Like humanitarian in Gaza, also urgent global action for justice and human rights. Practical leadership, transparency, and organization are hallmarks of enduring institution. Integrity in public office is non-negotiable. Transparent lawmaking, the active citizen engagement, and the list of democracy. As we look to the future, Parliament has become more representative, more and more. The trust of people is our greatest and must guide every policy, every reform, and work together to work process that will include technical advances grounded and dedicated to justice. It is the legacy we owe to the future generations. I must also bring to your most job in Pakistan, I think, is the duty of the the government rising from time to the opposition. The opposition been given enough time. I don't have a problem much as most, but I wish you luck. I thank you all. Pakistan Zindabad. Now, allow me to like to read out with the conference open because it opens up.
You, Honourable Speaker, once again read every voice. As this iconic inaugural ceremony comes to a close, I request distinguished guests the head seat to the floor of this for a group photograph. I request first to the table. May I request delegates seated to capture a full memory for all. To join the iconic coming to request one table the way the photographers are. May I request the photographer please on stage and the entire audience and into the photograph. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Guest of the inauguration ceremony, His Excellency Ayaz Sadiq, the Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly of Pakistan, Host President of the Conference, Awais Qadir Shah, Dr. Christopher Kalia, the Chairperson of the Executive Committee, and His Excellency Jinnah, Senior Government of Sindh. And of course, we have the entire delegation from across the region for the CPA Asia Regional Conference, second CPA Asia and South Asia Regional Conference 26 in the historic city of Karachi at the Provincial of Sindh. Setting the context, of course, inauguration ceremony, Parliament's defining democracy through trust, inclusion, innovation, and peace. Our distinguished guests, may I request the distinguished guests to please be seated. Our Honorable Chief Guest, now to the Honorable Host and the President of the Conference and Senior Minister, Shashil Menon. I request our participants delegates. We will now proceed to lunch and of course, in the Honorable Chief Guest, the old building, Provincial of Sindh, into the new one. You're all welcome to visit it, and of course, please join us for lunch. Resume with our meetings post-lunch. Thank you very much. Good luck to all our delegates, heads of missions.